Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Florida Man Football.
Let's
Now,
go.
super excited. I can see Chris over here. He's let's go. Normally we at a certain time frame here where we're in that party mode. Here we're pretty early here, Chris, right? So,
Yeah.
but we're getting ready to. I mean, we're happy and a little bit of sad. Playoff time is right around the corner. We're starting in a few days, but the regular season is over, Chris. It was a interesting year of football. A lot of hostility, I think, a little bit in terms of just from the fan perspective, regardless of for the most part, especially if you root for some of our Florida teams, Chris. So we're gonna get into our picks for the playoff run, the wild card weekend coming up. But before we do that, Chris, of course, we have to say goodbye to some Florida teams, one of which that we really didn't expect to not be in the postseason. Let's go ahead and start it off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chris. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chris, they finished under 500, a complete collapse essentially after starting 6-2. Um, I mean, what happened, Chris? What's your takeaway? I mean, at the end of the day, what do you see was the main component in their dysfunction, the disastrous season, and what can they do to fix this?
Yeah. So at finishing, you started 6-1, right? And then the debacle that happened the rest of the season. And to put a bow on this, Johnny, I think that we just are not who we thought we were. We were overachievers at 6-1. Can we be honest for a moment? We at 6-1, we overachieved. We won those close games against the Seahawks. If you remember back
Yeah,
back when it
went
started,
on a run,
we
barely
got very
winning.
fortunate winning some close games, and then the debacle that was. That's really the tail of the story there. And when we look at the team in general, now that we're out of the playoffs, you kind of dust yourself off and you start to look at things with different eyes. Does that make sense?
Of course.
And when you do that and you look at this roster, let's start with the roster. It's not a playoff championship caliber roster. It never was. It was just smoke and mirrors. Levante David at linebacker was great. He's going to probably retire after this year, but who do we have behind him? Nobody. At defensive end, we signed, what was that guy that you called right? We signed him for a 1 year deal, and
Ready.
we signed him for 1 year. Behind Reddick, who do we have? Nobody. We have Vea, excuse me. After Vea, who do we have? Nobody. And the list goes on and on and on. So on paper, we're just not a very good team on the roster. Now we can admit that and say that. And the only other thing I want to add to this for now, because we can have a whole hour episode about the Bucks, because I have so many thoughts to digest, Johnny. But I'll say this: when we look at Bowles now you got to pivot to the coach. Ultimately, when I see everything that the roster is not what I thought that it was, when I see the amount of vacancies there are at coach right now, it's a knee jerk reaction to just say fire. I see both sides of this argument. And at the end of the day, if you're the Glazers, unless there's somebody that you have a name on, I don't care about the Rooney Rule anymore. I don't care what if the coach is white, black, brown, doesn't matter to me. But unless you have a coach in mind that you want to be the coach of the Bucks, you should not be firing Bowles right now. At the end of the day, this roster was just not good enough to compete, and we don't deserve. We don't deserve. I'm glad that the Saints won. I'll say it. We don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Well, beginning of the season, Chris, I talked about it. You talked about it to where this was a make or break for Bowles. Todd Bowles, this was going to happen. You need to go ahead and deliver. I understand everything you're saying. I had some serious, questions regarding some of the key players that we picked up last year, even the draft. Now, the draft, even though I was very critical on you guys picking up another wide receiver, it seems to be a home run in that, in that position. Obviously, it's still not something that helped you guys win when it really mattered. That's my point, was that we obviously needed help in the secondary. We needed some linemen. We needed edge rushers. The guy we picked up from the Jets, Reddick, I didn't think was the guy, and he proved me right, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think this obviously clearly stands on our offensive coordinator. There was a complete debacle, complete collapse. You guys had one game, if I'm not mistaken, where you guys scored 30 points. Your offense was completely lacking. And when you're having your troubles like we did with on defense, you need a superior offense, something that, Liam Cohen's offense had last year and even the year before that under a different offensive coordinator. So these things always kind of happen, and it's still, I'm gonna. You have to put it on, Bowles. You have to put on the offensive coordinator. But guys, unfortunately, the knee jerk reaction was signing him to an extension after winning 6 games. The Bucks peaked early, and they went ahead and rewarded him with an extension instead of doing what we recommended. Wait until the end of the season and then go see where the chips fall and then make your decision based off of that. But they didn't. So, I mean, they can clearly still go ahead and move on from him. There's some key names available. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. But no, you give him an extension. You're going to ride it out with Bulls. Anything you're seeing, obviously, with the draft coming up or anything that they need to go ahead and make sure they cover?
So before we get to that, Johnny, I want to add on the offensive coordinator, and I I'm bad with names. Grizzard or Grizzard? What is it?
It's a loser.
Okay. Well, look. Bottom line is this. Going back to what I mentioned before, I feel like we put such an emphasis on you got to win your first year out the gate as an offensive coach, defensive coach, and if you don't, then you're a loser, just like you just said.
Correct.
And I'm tired of that. I don't agree with that at all. You never let this is the problem, and Tom Brady has talked about this a lot as well, as far as letting coaches mature, letting players mature, letting things develop. You never know the potential that somebody has. And I just talked a little earlier about how this team, offensively and defensively, we're paper champions ourselves. We're thinking that we were better than what we really were, and then throw in the offensive coordinator into the mix. So, in other words, but again, we can have a whole episode about this, talking about how Bucky Irving was not RB1, like I said he wasn't. How Rashad White should have been RB1. How Bucky Irving has always been, will always be a very good complementary backup, kind of like Sproles was back in the day, and how I saw him in that role. And so there's so many things to dissect here. But again, I hate this NFL 2025, 2026 logic, even back in 2023, 2024, where it's like, oh, you have 1 year of success and you run, or if not, you're fired. I hate that. Let people develop, let coaches show their game plan. And with that being said, unless the Glazers, Johnny, have another coach in mind, I would love to see another year of Grizzard with Bowles to see what that looks like after a solid draft.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Well, I already know what it looks like, and it doesn't look good.
That's the thing. But that's the thing. I'm tired of people doing that.
The thing is that, Chris, the thing is that, Chris,
where's the football?
The thing is, Chris, I mean, players, they need to develop. They need time to develop, not coaches. At the end of the day, coaches are going to evolve slightly. They can become slightly better, but their game plan, their formula for winning, we're not waiting around. An owner is not waiting around for that to develop.
How many times have we seen time and time again that it takes the perfect coach, it takes the perfect player, and sometimes it takes the draft for the to your point, the offensive coach to get the right player to run his system. You've heard of that concept many times.
Chris,
the right tight end gets drafted, for example, the right running back and whatnot. So again, it takes both, and just 1 year is not enough to wave the white flag. You know what I was watching today earlier, just because I was doing my own personal thing and just going through the phone, swiping. I was yes, and the Breakfast Club was showing the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns are a complete TED talk on what not to do. And about 4 times in the last 8 years, John, but prior to this coach being fired after 6 years, they literally had a coach one and done, repetitively, one and done. And that's why they're the Cleveland Browns. And so the idea, once again, folks, and we just want to throw we're already out of the playoffs. It's done. It's time to dissect who we are. And it's time to really ask the question, because we did start 6-1 at one point. Is it the coach? Is it the player? Or is it that we need more time to get the right mix in this coming draft? It's an honest question. You just can't disregard it and go, oh, no, he's not good, so we're done. We got to strike lightning in the first time. No, get out of here, man.
What are you talking about? At the end of the day, of course, if you know right away if you have lightning in a bottle. Doesn't mean you're going to be in the Super Bowl, even the playoffs, but if something works. Look at year one with Josh McDaniels, Drake May, Vrabel. Year one, you saw what happened. Complete turnaround. So that's an extreme.
Took you 8 minutes to throw out Patriot reference.
That's an extreme example.
Switching cups already.
You know what you got. You know what you got last year with Harbaugh. Harbaugh comes in to the Chargers. They didn't sit there and just dominate, but you saw even this year coming up, it's like, okay, there's a difference. Right away if the coach works. And I'm sorry, no, Grizzard does not work. He doesn't work in this system. It's not. It was a complete debacle. You can't take this team. You cannot lose the way they did, the complete collapse the way they did, not score points. The defense, listen, there were some definite injuries or different things, and everybody deals with injuries. I always say the greatest ability is availability. It didn't work out for them, especially
As
defensively.
per usual, we're gonna have to agree to disagree because I could talk about this all day, and I'm gonna say again, he deserves another opportunity, in my opinion, to have a draft, have some input
What
in
a
that
bleeding
draft.
heart you have.
And then the only alternative, though, I will say this because I know we'll agree to disagree. There is an offensive coach out there that was just decided to leave, and that's Kingsbury. Kingsbury worked with Mayfield in college. He's the one that got him up to be
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah, I mean, we can get
So
to all
so
that.
so if that was an option, then yes, of course I would consider that as an option. But again, I'm not just quick to go cry bloody murder after one season when even the running back wasn't the starting running back that I said he was supposed to be. When people underperformed.
But it didn't work out. The Dallas Cowboys just dropped their offensive coordinator because it just didn't work. I mean, the defensive coordinator, because it just wasn't working. So, you don't need to sit around. I mean, see this for 2 or 3 years. We saw enough from Tampa's offense to know that he's not the guy to lead this offense. Baker Mayfield fell off. He had a best year of his career the year before, and he started off on the trajectory like MVP level and didn't finish that way. And a lot of it, you watch the games, I know you did, the play calling was atrocious.
Injuries happen.
Yeah, the play calling was horrible.
We'll agree to this.
Moving on, Chris, Tampa Bay Buccaneers season is over. We salute to you guys and wish you best next year. Of course, we'll be all over it next season. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins. For the Miami Dolphins, they started off horrible. You said 6-1 for Tampa. They started off 1-6. And they were being on the road to the #1 overall pick. Then they decided to go ahead and win 5 straight. And then, of course, finish the season on a loss, but still, Tua's gone. It's a bit of a mess. Everything's kind of happening here. But the Miami Dolphins, we already know what happened with the Dolphins and why they are the way they are. But moving forward, Chris, what's the game plan for Miami? If I'm not mistaken, Miami has the number 11 pick. So what are they doing with that? I mean, well, of course, we'll have a show later on in the upcoming months, but early thoughts of what Miami needs to do to change the trajectory of this team.
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to say is a lot of times, Johnny, when it comes to the NBA, the NFL, you have this struggle in power where sometimes you pick either the coach or you pick the player. Look at the Patriots, what happened with Brady and Belichick, right? In this particular case, it's been already very clear the line has been drawn here for the Miami Dolphins where Tua's out. Tua already even said himself that he wants to be somewhere else. He said he would like a change of scenery.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly what he said. I don't know.
And McDaniels already said that there's going to be a quarterback competition next season. In other words, what I'm getting at is that they already acknowledged that the coach is coming back. And now because there's there's 7 vacancies, believe it or not, I'm okay with it. Kind of back to the Bulls thing. There's 7 vacancies out there. It's a mess. Do you really want to add to that and be number 8 and number 9 for the Bucks in Miami? I don't think so. It's just a mess. So with that being said, I'm very happy that Miami is keeping McDaniels for that reason. Now, what's going to happen next season? Well, number one, like I mentioned, Tua thinks that he wants to have a change of scenery. Well, he's damaged goods. Let's be real. Nobody forgets those concussions. Nobody forgets those injuries. You don't have a very good pick. And you have a lot of, I think it's $90 million in cap until June 1st, and it's $50 million after that you owe him. So chances are, like Kirk Cousins, you're going to end up keeping him on the bench if you're not going to start him. So where do the Dolphins go from here, Johnny Cinco? I think draft-wise, you have so many needs to address.
Yes.
I think you basically got to start at the general manager position. And at the general manager position,
they got to look for a new one.
You're going to have to start there, and you're going to have to say, okay, who can get us out of this mess? Who? Right? And I have a name in mind.
Go ahead.
Bill Belichick. I know that it's crazy. I know that he's going to come back to the Tar Heels. Listen, just hear me out.
You're talking about for this, a GM?
For general manager. Hear me out. Hear me out. Bill Belichick being out of the NFL is very, very humbling. He did an okay job, I guess you could say, in North Carolina. I know they didn't have a winning record.
I wouldn't even say that.
No, but I mean, he completed his job. And so now you pivot and say, hey, look, man, how about coming in as a GM? How about getting us out of this mess? And if he maybe decides that he doesn't want to coach and he could be responsible for hiring the next coach if McDaniels doesn't pan out, why not? I'm very serious about that. Right now, what matters most for Miami, Johnny, is the GM position. Who are you going to bring in? Who is going to do what, like you always like to say, what they need to do to get them out of this mess and keep the wheels running for another year? And maybe surprise people. Maybe win some games next year if Ears improves, has a good step forward. That's another question mark there. But again, it's going to start at the GM position.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what Miami should do. I know you will not agree with me, but I don't agree with you with you just referenced with Belichick.
I know you weren't expecting that, but I'm very adamant about that.
The thing is, I know Belichick. Me and Bill go way back.
Okay.
So Bill is a stubborn old mule. And that dude is going to stay with North Carolina when he shouldn't. I guarantee you the dude is going to get calls. He's going to get calls with the vacancies to go and kick the tires, see what's up. But this guy is so adamant that he can make this work in college. And he's so mad that he didn't get a job when he was looking for one. And obviously it came back to bite some of those teams. It didn't work out for the people they chose instead. And we'll get to all that. But Bill likes total control. So I understand the GM position, but he's going to want to coach and be the GM. So for the Dolphins to go and even consider that or do something, or Bill to even consider that, they're going to need to call and say, we're going to give you everything. We're going to give you the keys to everything, coach, GM, everything there. And then maybe Bill will consider it. But I don't think he will this year. I think that he's mad about the debacle that happened in North Carolina. He's convinced he can turn it around. It's like he was convinced he can turn around with the Patriots after Tom left. He's just stubborn like that. I don't see him leaving this particular year. I understand that. But the answer for Miami is clear, guys. You have the 11th pick. You are drowning in debt because of that Tua contract here. It's a bit of a mess. You're not going to be able to trade him, or can you? So my advice to Miami is very clear. I know you're not going to agree with me, Chris, but it's time to pull a Ricky Williams. You're talking about South Florida. You're talking about having the 11th pick. You're talking about potentially having Cuban-American Heisman Trophy winner. The Cuban community in Miami going up for the number 1 overall pick. You go ahead, you go to the Raiders and say, take Tua, take the contract. I'm going to give you all of my picks. So Ricky Williams, give me all of my picks for the number 1 overall pick. Pick up Mendoza. Is that going to be success this upcoming year? No, but it's going to give you the right piece. It's going to give you something in that community that they're going to want to see. They're going to want there. They're going to go ahead, and even if you don't win, you're going to make money. Ohtani signed that ridiculous contract with the Dodgers, and already has been reported that the Dodgers have made that money back, have already surpassed the $700 million in profit they made by signing him. Now, I'm not saying it's that type of impact globally or nationally, but it's definitely that type of impact for your fan base to have a Cuban-American Heisman Trophy winning quarterback to be the face of the Miami Dolphins, and it's going to put the team on the right trajectory. Losing, but profitable. So you're back to profit.
So let me get
everything.
This straight. Let me get this straight.
You're welcome, Miami.
Let me get this straight. Florida Man, if you're still watching right now, Florida Man Football, streaming on all major platforms. Let me make sure I understand, Johnny.
Yes.
You ridicule me and say it's asinine to think that a coach who was X'd out of the league last year can't come into a position with a humble heart because he's trying to get back into the league somehow.
Because I know Bill. I know
be
Bill.
a GM with an option of maybe later on coaching if he still feels like it, but getting back into the NFL and to this type of position and being responsible for the turnaround of the Miami Dolphins. And that's ludicrous and not possible. But no, wait. The Oakland Raiders trading and taking on Tua's debt. Tua's debt. And then just, the Ricky Williams, just throw a whole bunch of, that's more plausible. Bro, like I gotta tell you, here's your Dundee Award.
Thank you.
For the most ridiculous and asinine thought process of carrying us through that. It is impossible. It is impossible for the Miami Dolphins. It's going to be impossible for them to trade to trade Tua, let alone try to get into the first round pick. Now,
100%.
Now, if it was, I would love to see what Vegas has the plus $150,000 that it would pay, because it's just not going to happen, especially with Tom Brady being in the Raiders and him gushing over how much he loves this kid. So it's impossible.
Okay.
Please next time,
Chris.
Johnny Cinco, please next time, give us, like I did, give us a real scenario for our Miami Dolphins, because that's not realistic.
I can guarantee you that the scenario that I presented there's definitely there's a significantly higher chance of that happening compared to Bill Belichick coming to be.
Neither's happening, but mine's closer. Neither is happening.
What I'm telling you is that the Raiders are eyeing on Mendoza. They want Mendoza. Brady wants Mendoza.
Okay. So breaking news flash. Every team that doesn't have a QB1 wants Mendoza.
Yes, I know that. I know that. I said that a couple of weeks ago where I was like, he should be number 1. You're the one saying asinine. They should take an offensive lineman or whatever nonsense you said. So the thing is that
the Giants, because they have a QB.
What I'm telling you is that I'm aware that the Raiders want him. I'm aware that Tom Brady wants him. So the only way you have a chance, and it's going to actually help you you're unloading your debts, and you're picking up a franchise Cuban-American Heisman Trophy winning quarterback into Miami is a dream come true for Miami fans. So for him to go ahead and be that guy, the only way it happens is pulling off a Ricky Williams. So it's going to be very hard for Tom Brady, very hard for the Las Vegas Raiders to ignore take Tua. You get all of my draft picks. You got all of my draft picks there. It's very difficult to ignore that. And that's the only move Miami has for a chance for Mendoza and to unload that. Because you said what they can do, hire this GM. No, I did it for you. Unload that money. You're going to go ahead and suffer this upcoming year, but you're going to profit. Business-wise, you will profit. Football-wise, you will suffer. But, hey, it's fine. Mendoza goes through the lumps. The next year you go ahead, you're going to have a top 3 pick, and it's genius. So, Miami, that's the move to make. Belichick isn't going to happen.
Yeah,
Mendoza,
Miami that's the move to make because the Raiders are going to entertain that.
You have to entertain all the picks.
When you do the editing, make sure you put a clown thing on you with a little red nose.
You have to entertain all of the picks. That's why. Okay. That's the only move you have, Miami.
You've been watching the movie Draft Day way too much, but go ahead.
Moving on, Chris, to, of course, our most successful Florida team, something that I called before the season. The Jacksonville Jaguars finishing 13-4, winning the AFC South. Just the hottest team in the AFC. They're currently steamrolling. They're winning. They're on a roll. They're starting it off here, Chris, against the Buffalo Bills. Your pick, the Super Bowl representing the AFC. So is that staying put? The Bills are representing, or do you see an upset here, Chris?
Yeah, well, I definitely don't want to jump the gun. I know it's going to be some great episodes going forward as far as who we got coming out of each division. But yes, I don't waver. And it is going to be the Bills that are coming out. So you kind of popped the bubble there, buddy.
You said it. You announced it beforehand.
Don't let this be detrimental to Duval, to the Jaguars. Anything is possible any given Sunday, as the expression goes, right? Even though I don't know if they're playing on Saturday, but
they're playing on Sunday.
On Sunday, it stands to reason that anything can happen. And one of the biggest things in the playoffs when you're trying to win is 2 things. 1, you got to be credible, and 2, you got to believe. Well, Jaguars aren't credible in playoffs because they haven't been there in a long time, but they do have belief. And sometimes that can be enough. You got the right coordinators there. You got the right coach, of course, now that we know that. And Trevor Lawrence is playing lights out. Let's call it what it is. He's playing lights out. So any given Sunday, anything is possible. But yeah, I'm not going to waver on the Bills. With that being said, it's a little bittersweet. I don't have the Jaguars winning the Super Bowl, guys. Let's be real, right? So then now I'm kind of already moving ahead. I'm moving forward like I always like to do. And I can't stop to think about the draft picks that we gave up. In other words, I would love to see what this team would have done, Johnny, with all of its assets, like I complained about when it happened in the beginning of the season. I'm like, why did we do that, right? Now here we are. I'm thinking ahead because, again, we're not winning the Super Bowl. Why did we give up all those draft picks?
Yeah, but I mean, hindsight's always 20/20. Look at the moron Falcons did last year. You think about why if they didn't pick up Penix and they picked up Odunze, for instance, there, the weapon Kirk Cousins could have had, that team, what it could have had, what it could have been. So there's always what ifs. I respect the fact that they went for the home run. It appears, it's still early, but it appears that they swung and they missed. But we'll see what Jacksonville. But I'm going to tell you right now, Chris, I'm looking at all the teams in the playoffs. So I disagree with you in one regard too. You said that Jacksonville cannot win. It's not really going to win the Super Bowl.
No, they're not.
I disagree with that. Meaning, not saying that they're going to win, but every team that is in the playoffs, with the exception of the Carolina Panthers, has a shot to win the Super Bowl, a real shot to win the Super Bowl. This year, it is wide open. I mean, the issue that you're talking about while you're talking to the Bills, I'm sorry, this is the least talented Bills team we've seen under the last few years under Josh Allen. Yes, they say that he has the best chance because, well, Lamar Jackson's out, Burrow's out. You know, all the competition that he's been dealing with, Mahomes is out. So I think, it's wide open for you. Jacksonville Jaguars stopped the run. They have a solid run defense. And as long as you stop Cook and they're playing in Jacksonville and Jacksonville plays their type of game the way they've been playing, I have Jacksonville winning this game. So I know you have the Bills. I have Jacksonville winning this particular game.
So just want to touch up on what you're saying because I understand where you're coming from, but just remember something, right? We always talk about like the perfect storm, but we know what happens. We know what happens when the team is like too perfect, if you will. Even the perfect New England Patriots couldn't win against the Giants in the Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
And no, listen. I'm not trying to stab, but the reason why I'm bringing that up is that there's been years past, Johnny, that you're right. I've said, well, this Bills team looks really good. And then they just implode or they lay an egg. And I can say the same thing about many teams that I thought were good going in. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that, to your point, if everything is wide open, you don't have to be a perfect team, guys. You don't have to be this team is not as good as it was last. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It would not shock me and surprise me that this team makes it to the Super Bowl. And then you can argue that, well, 2 years ago, they were a better team and they didn't make it to the Super Bowl. It's all semantics. It really is. And so at the end of the day, you don't need an elite team to make it to the Super Bowl. You just got to get hot at the right time and have the right people in place.
Okay.
And the Bills have that.
Are you kidding me? The hottest team in the AFC is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's the Houston Texans.
Are you gonna
the hottest team in the AFC is the Houston Texans. Oh my God.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have won, 7, 8 straight?
Johnny,
like, are you kidding me right now?
It's the Houston Texans.
Oh my God.
The hottest team in the AFC is the Houston Texans.
So the hottest team in the AFC.
It's not the Bills.
The hottest team in the AFC, according to you, plays in the same division as the Jaguars, and they didn't win a division. The Jacksonville Jaguars won the division. Yeah. They went on a run and won, and are a significantly better team than the Texans. The Texans are obviously a hot team, but you're going to sit here and say the team who finished behind the Jacksonville Jaguars are somehow better than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Just like the Bills are better than the Patriots. Just like the Bills are better than the Patriots.
I mean, of course,
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
Of course.
Just like the Bills are better than the Patriots. Okay. What's your point?
Ridiculous.
What's your point?
It's not. That's not.
Again.
Anybody
semantics.
who knows ball knows that's not accurate at all.
If we were having a debate and a debate team, then Johnny would win because he raises his voice louder. But the facts are here.
No, it was just
the facts are here, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Blood pressure skyrockets.
Yeah,
it's just like you say those ridiculous things in the world. But it's like, oh, this team's better. Like, no, they're not.
No, because they are.
And everything where they finish offensively, defensively, everything. The run that the Jacksonville Jaguars run on, Jacksonville Jaguars are right now a better team than the Buffalo Bills.
I normally don't like to do this.
Playing at home.
I don't like to get on my phone because everything comes from up here. But since you brought it up, the Jacksonville winning streak is winning the last 8 games. And the Houston Texans winning streak is winning 9 straight. And like I said, and I stand by what I said, the hottest team other than the Bills, Jaguars. It's going to be the Houston Texans.
You know why it's Jacksonville Jaguars? Because they won 8 in a row and won a division. Okay. So you were talking about the Texans. You're like, oh, they won something. According to you, they won 9 in a row.
When they're both, like, okay. You do understand how winning streaks work, right? Whether they're both winning 8 in a row, in this case 8 and 9, pretty close. That wherever they were at that point, because they both went undefeated from then on out, it's going to stay the same no matter what. You do understand how that works, right?
Yes, it doesn't matter. The point is
so it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant that they were that. And Houston Texans fans that are out there, please comment and all that. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You're a hot team. And listen, I want Duval to win. God. I want to be proven wrong.
Really?
I do.
Think so.
I want to be proven wrong.
You've been saying that all season.
But Florida man football, you're always going to get it from the perspective of the Florida man. And if you want to go back to that, I will. When I said that they were going to win 8-9 games, those people who are still listening to that, I said 8-9 games. And then what happened, Johnny? The Colts got hurt. Remember the Colts were doing this incredible run?
So Jones got hurt. That's the reason.
It is. And we literally go, now
they won their game.
We literally had an episode about
the Colts.
We literally had an episode about that saying, take advantage of it. Here it is. When you were 8 wins, they went on an 8-game winning streak. And when they had 8-9 wins, which is what I predicted, I said, hey, here's your opportunity. Now grab it. And to Duval's credit, they did. I know that facts hurt, but that's exactly what happened. I'm sure
the Jacksonville Jaguars fans are spitting at the screen when he speaks. He just going, they went 13-4, Chris.
I'll always give it.
You're not going to sit here.
Always give the truth. Always give the truth.
They won 13-4. They are the hottest team in the AFC.
Thanks to injuries and Lady Luck and a great well-coached
Jacksonville. Team. Jacksonville is going to beat the Bills, according to Johnny. Chris says, of course, the Bills are going to beat
and I would gladly
Nothing
be
to
wrong.
back it up.
Glad to be wrong.
Moving on, Chris. Of course, let's move on to the rest of WildCard Weekend. Let's go ahead and start it up here with the Los Angeles Rams, Chris. They're taking on the Carolina Panthers. They're playing, obviously, surprisingly, in Carolina. Carolina won the NFC South. NFC South, you win the division, you get a home game. So, Carolina, they beat the Rams earlier this year. Can they do it again at home, Chris?
Yeah, had this been the Tampa Bay Bucks, I just want to go on record that I had the Bucks and Bills Super Bowl. Had this been the Bucks, Johnny Cinco, the Bucks would have beat the Rams, ran the table, and gone to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
But I digress. This is not the Bucks. This is the Panthers.
The team you said that didn't live up to the hype, or paper champion, somehow would have went to the Super Bowl.
Because once you get in, like I said
Oh,
earlier,
they
you like how I
they
stay,
activate,
you
they
like
activate.
you like how I stay tuned to everything, right? Like once you're in, anything can happen any given
Of
Sunday.
course. But
Yeah.
you go into it on
Start-
losing.
you gotta start
You
listening.
go into losing.
You got to start.
You lose
gotta
like
start
6 in a
listening
row,
to me more.
and then you win, and then somehow that's the momentum.
I
you
know.
want
I
going
know.
to the
I know that. I know that I prophesize things, and you're just like, wow,
Oh,
I'm off. So I need you to pay more attention. So Rams and Panthers. This is a no-brainer in the sense that I don't care that the Panthers won in the regular season. Again, it's regular season football. We're talking about the playoffs here. The Rams purposely lost 2 weeks ago. Remember, I told you that because they wanted to be in the 5th seed, because they wanted to take on the Panthers. That was their easiest path to get into the Super Bowl. So please don't overthink this one. Give me the Rams to win this game. The money line says minus 10.5, Johnny. I'm going to say probably going to be 14 points or more because the Panthers offensively, they're stagnant. They can't, I give them 10 points this game, if that.
Well, the thing is, if you watch the game, Chris, last game between the Panthers and the Rams, the Panthers could win this game again, but the formula is a little complicated. No, they obviously did it. It's possible, but I don't see. Say now one more time.
Nah.
I don't think they can repeat the level of success they had in that game. What did they do in that game? Obviously, Bryce Young did not turn the ball over one time. That dude was throwing 4th down dots, was making incredible throws. They forced 3 turnovers from the Rams. One was a pick 6. Other one was going to score some touchdowns, and they got a fumble. They got another pick. So many things worked out for Carolina, and they barely won that game. Respect to them, they won it. But I don't think that Carolina can replicate that again, have essentially a perfect game offensively to where you don't turn the ball over and Bryce Young is throwing dots. And defensively, you forced 3 turnovers, one of which is you went ahead and it was a pick 6. So can you do those things again? Can your defense score points? Can your defense force turnovers and your offense be perfect? I don't see that happening twice in one season. Lightning doesn't strike twice. The Rams, I agree with you, will win this game.
You could have just said, I agree with Boss Man over here, but okay.
That's okay, but I said it much more eloquently. Moving on, Chris, the team we've seen, this is the 3rd time we've seen them all season. Still good games here. The Packers of Green Bay, they're taking on the Chicago Bears, Chris. They're playing in Soldier Field, so it should be interesting here. Good games here. Who is going to win
Can you
game?
imagine if the Bears punch their ticket to the playoffs with this coach, right? And then punching the ticket with Caleb Williams, as critical as we've been, actually go out and win a playoff game? I can't remember the last time the Bears won a playoff game in general.
I can. When they went to the Super Bowl with Love against Dungy, and of course Dungy went ahead and beat them. That's the last time the Bears were relevant.
And so right now I've already taken, and we both agreed, I guess, on the Rams winning on the road. I'm not going to take back-to-back teams winning on the road at 9-7-1. This is going to be a very close game. Love it plays well in the playoffs, as we've seen in the past. Give me the Bears to win a very close game and pull an upset because it's Green Bay minus 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Bears. It's going to be like to come down to a 4th quarter field goal, I think. But Bears win at home.
Yeah, this is the most difficult game for me to call, just because I agree with you. I'm looking at the Bears. I like the Bears. They're a better team. But Caleb Williams cannot do 4 quarters of consistent great quarterback play. Jordan Love can't. But what happens? The Chicago has a better defense. Green Bay is, some injuries on defense, injuries even on offense.
Discipline, in my opinion.
Agreed, 100%. Obviously, it's coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, okay, Jordan Love I can count on for 4 quarters of great quarterback play. Caleb Williams I cannot. But there's other things, the defense, other intangibles in play, and being at home. I agree with you that Chicago is going to win a very close game, really on Santos's leg. So I see the Chicago Bears winning a game-winning field goal off Santos's leg and moving on to the next round.
There you go.
Moving on, Chris. The San Francisco 49ers.
Well, I know what you're doing, but I know we already kind of give them the Bills and Jags, so I know you're not covering that. But just to be clear, right now, Florida Man Football, we're both 2-0. After that was the Bills and Jaguars. You said you're taking the Jags. I'm taking the Bills.
Correct.
So after this game, Bills and Jags, one of us will be 2-1. And I just want to say one last thing, because again, they're in the playoffs and deserve to be talked about a little bit more. It says Buffalo -1.5, the money line. I hope this is Florida Man football. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong, Johnny Cinco. And to the point, if the Bills win, I'd be taking two teams on the road right now to be winning, be up to 3-0. So yeah,
Yes.
I hope I'm wrong, but just wanted to
No,
mention
if you
that.
want to sit here and talk a little bit more about the Jaguars and Bills, that's fine. I thought we had covered it
No,
earlier,
no,
but
no. We did. I just wanted to go on the record as far as at that point one of us going to be undefeated. I just thought that was funny.
I know,
Yeah.
correct. I mean, of course, it'll be me, but it's fine. I appreciate you going and reminding the guests that at the end of the day, um, I've been right about Jacksonville all season. You've been wrong. So just one more week
Bro, you
of
got
you
you
being
got
wrong.
you got muscle injuries. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The San Francisco 49ers
Jesus.
are taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, Chris. They are in Philly. Obviously, the Eagles, they had the chance. It's in our future. But they had the chance to go ahead and be the number 2 seed to avoid this team, to go ahead and really make some moves. Instead, they lose their final week of the year by benching their starters here. And now they face San Francisco, Chris. Is that going to come back to bite them? Is that in their favor? Who is winning this game?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Johnny, and watching these games this year, if I can count a team that is so inconsistent, but yet they're somehow 12-5, it's the 49ers. They're so inconsistent.
Yes.
I mean,
I
and
mean,
they're
honestly,
very
both teams
they're
really
very
have been.
they are right. But in this case, when both teams are like that, then you kind of got to go back to the pedigree of it, and and they're at home. And I feel like they kind of like the Rams. They kind of planned for this, Johnny. Talking about benching people. So give me the Eagles to win a close game at home. I'm going to say it's more than 3 points. I'm going to say less than 6. But yeah, Eagles win at home.
Yeah, complete debacle, disaster for San Francisco. Now, we talk about teams like Tampa, they're disappointing and that they kind of fell off here. But what's even worse is when you have a team that flirts with you to tell you they're going to be the number 1 seed, and then they go ahead and lose the last week of the season. And okay, they fall down here. And then they out bounce in the first round. They went from a first round bye, winning 1 game into the NFC Championship, to being bounced in the first round. And that's the San Francisco 49ers. As much as like I've seen a lot of disappointing coaching, play calling, a little of everything from Philadelphia. Philadelphia is the better team. They are playing at home. And San Francisco's the 49ers are pretenders. They're 100% pretenders with a lot of talent on the team. It's just it didn't really work out when they faced an elite team like what we saw against Seattle in the final week. They didn't even score a touchdown. So I think
It's
Philadelphia is
crazy.
going to go ahead
It's
and put it
crazy.
together. San Francisco is going to go ahead and just show that they are fool's gold, pun intended, and they will be out first round. Philadelphia wins.
You know, one team, and just one last thing on that. One team benches their players at the end of the year. They know who they are as a team and what game plan and where they want to be at when it comes to rankings. And then the other team puts out their best out there at the end of the year
Yep.
for their obvious reason, and then lays the egg. How are we supposed to defend? No, seriously, how are we supposed to defend them?
I don't know. I don't know,
It's
but
wild.
somehow we try. Moving on, the Los Angeles Chargers, Chris, they are taking on the New England Patriots, the resurgence of Drake May, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels. 14-3 Patriots taking on the 11-6 Chargers in Foxborough. Chris, is this the end of the line for the Patriots, or are the Chargers going to go ahead and
Well, I mean, I know that you're kind of, going back and forth and kind of pause there because you're nervous about what I'm going to say, considering the fact how accurate I've been all year. And so you've got the Patriots at home. You've got a team that believes. Remember, I talked earlier about the two things that you need, and one of those things is being believing, and the other one is the pedigree. The experience. They don't have the experience nor the pedigree.
Mm,
Whereas Harbaugh does.
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh does. Yeah,
Harbaugh.
I was born in Peru, okay? Or Harbaugh does, and he's been. He didn't win, but he's been to the Super Bowl. He's been to the dance. And when it comes to that, I'm going to put this on the coaching side. And forget about the home team. It's going to come down to the coaching.
So ridiculous.
It's going to come down to who's the better coach. The money line says New England -3.5. The Chargers are going to pull an upset, and thank God they're going to do it in the first week of the NFL playoffs, so we don't have to hear these annoying, belligerent, idiotic Patriot fans running around chanting, talking smack. Now they can just shut the heck up, and we can move on to our regularly scheduled program of NFL playoff games. Chargers win.
I mean, the logic behind your picks are so asinine.
Hmm.
It's they're going to win because Harbaugh went to a Super Bowl
No, because he's
10
a better.
years.
I said 'cause
10
he's a better
years ago,
coach.
he went to a Super Bowl.
I said
Didn't win.
I said because he's a better coach.
Didn't win.
I said because he's a better coach.
Didn't win a Super Bowl as a player, but Mike Vrabel, who won multiple Super Bowls as a player, somehow, like, I'm going to ignore that. That doesn't really matter. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, won multiple championships as the offensive coordinator. Yeah. Somehow that doesn't matter. So you can sit and say coaching matters, that pedigree matters. The pedigree is on the New England Patriots side.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Harbaugh won an NCAA championship. Come back to the NFL.
Okay.
So just let you know. As a coach.
You're grasping,
as
bro.
A coach. No, not grasping. As a coach. People don't forget.
Okay.
People don't forget.
What does it have to do with the NFL? You're just reaching.
Go ahead and pick your team because I'm undefeated right now.
It's okay. So you're looking at this here, the playing in Foxborough. It's clearly the Patriots are second in points per game offensively and number 4 in points per game defensively. Now, the Chargers are 20th and 9th, respectively. It's not difficult here, guys. Now, Harbaugh is a good coach. This is a good defense, but they're not beating the New England Patriots and this defense and Drake May. Everything we've seen here from New England all season, they're not beating them right here, right now. The New England Patriots are going to win this game. It's still going to be a tight game. I see New England winning by about a touchdown, maybe less. But at the end of the day here, 7 points is pretty much the spread that I have in this particular game. New England's winning this game. And whatever anybody who says different are just people who hate the New England Patriots. They really don't back it up with any real facts.
I don't hate the New England Patriots as much as I hate their fans. and there's a difference there. There's a correlation of stupidity between Patriot fans and common sense. And so I think that's been proven year after year. So it's actually,
this is exactly what you said at the beginning of the season, where I said, no, New England is going to make the playoffs. They're going to be double-digit victory. You said they're going to win 3 games. You said they're going to win 3 games this year.
Listen, Johnny. So Johnny, if I'm being genuinely honest, obviously the 3 games is more of a crack on you because you're a Patriot fan with your wannabe Patriot beer, and so that's of course it's a dig. It's a dig, but listen, a lot in the NFL, it happens a lot where you have overachieving, underachieving, some luck, and kudos to the Patriots for maximizing on an easy schedule.
Moving on, Chris, the Houston Texans, Chris, a final game of WildCard weekend.
Yes.
They're taking on the Steelers. The Steelers, ridiculous win at the end of the regular season against the choke job that is the Baltimore Ravens, Chris. They're playing in Pittsburgh. Now, the hottest team, according to you, in the AFC, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers. Who's winning this game?
Yeah, so this is craziness to me, right? Because believe it or not, the team that punched their ticket in at the end and somebody with the pedigree of Aaron Rodgers is exactly the person that could ruin things for the Texans. Mind you, that the game after that, it's against the Broncos. And I don't ever want to jump the gun, get ahead here, but the Texans can beat the Broncos where the Steelers cannot.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the game. This is the game for the Texans.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying here?
Sure.
So with that being said, I'm taking the Texans to win. I'm taking the Texans to win a very close game. But again, the key here is close. It's going to be a close game because Aaron Rodgers, the speech is very simple over there. We got in. It took us this point to get in. What are we going to do with it? So they're going to come in full throttle with nothing to lose. A team is dangerous that way. So it's a close game. But again, the best team in the AFC right now, the hottest team, I should say, not the best team, is going to win. Texans win.
The only team that's moving on from this round from the AFC South is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. This team to where you're over here, the Houston Texans, where they went on a run here. I understand all that. But Aaron Rodgers is playing the type of football that I know the Jets hoped they were getting. Of course, the Jets screwed that up. Houston still play ball. And now you're getting DK Metcalf back. Because you saw that game, the game they should have won handily against the Ravens. They just didn't have that offensive weapon. Now they have that weapon. It is going to be freezing cold in Pittsburgh. They got the end zone being blessed by Priest. Sorry, no. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win this game against the pretenders of the AFC South, which are the Houston Texans. Steelers are winning, Chris.
One of us is going to be undefeated. We'll see. We'll find out who it is. Florida Man Football, streaming on all major platforms. As always, do please like, share, and subscribe. We're 43 minutes in, and if you've heard us ranting back and forth, I appreciate you tuning in. Johnny Cinco, before we put a bow on this one, let's talk a little bit of the coaching carousel.
Yeah.
We had, what was it called, Fire Friday or whatever it's called, or I don't know, one of those days, but it happened. But I want to go back to the very beginning. So Brian Callahan gone, Tennessee Titans fired the coach there on October 13th. Just real quick, you got the Giants, of course, that fired Brian Dable. The ball, how to pronounce his name. Morris is gone, of course, with the Falcons. Then you've got the Kevin Stefanski after 6 years being gone there. You got to love it.
Forgive the immigrant.
Pete Carroll, of course, gone with the Raiders just recently. And then to wrap it up, Jonathan Gannon was fired by the Cardinals. And then Harbaugh becomes the seventh coach now, team available now for coaches. So I guess let me start here. Out of all those, Baltimore, the Titans, considering the picks, the Raiders, all these teams, the Cardinals, if you're the best of the best, the number one coach that everyone is after, what team do you want to be at? Think about cap space. I know it's a tough one. Think about cap space. Think about the draft pick. Think about the position there. Where would you want to be?
Looking at these teams that are obviously fired their coaches, there's two teams that stand out to me that really have talent. One, the obvious one that most people didn't expect, which is John Harbaugh, that he obviously now it's available. You have a former MVP, multiple MVP, Lamar Jackson. You have Henry. You still have a good team, a team that should have won a few more games, but the quarterback was injured. So that is a prime available location for any coach. That's the type of that actually is a type of place I'm looking at to where I'm like, Bill Belichick, this is a solid defense that has key pieces there that they fell off a little bit, but I think Belichick can do something more with the Ravens, but we'll get into that later. And then for me, the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons have a really good roster, and we're let down by ownership picked the wrong coach, and it showed. And it's unfortunate because they picked the wrong coach, even with a super talented team, and the Buccaneers couldn't take advantage of it this particular year. Somehow, Chris, we knew Carolina was going to bounce back year, and somehow that we allowed Carolina to win that division. But of course, but those are the two main teams. I'm looking at everything here that are available there.
I'm glad you talked about Raheem Morris because I have been so critical on him, former Buck coach, and I was, railroading him in previous episodes. But you want to know something crazy? I just, again, looking at all this just the other day, as far as like the carousel of coaches that were fired and all that, Raheem Morris wasn't that bad. I was looking at the numbers, right? He went 8-9 the last two seasons.
How's that?
Okay, but hold on. Because Canales just went 8-9 and he's not playing right now in the NFC, getting a playoff home game. And so in other words, this is what I mean when I say sometimes these decisions are made, and I don't agree with them. They just cut the cord real fast. Here's Canales he has yet to have a winning season, and yes, I know the NFC South is the NFC South. And he's still with his team, and he's not going to go anywhere after next year. And so that's just one example right there. So the Tennessee Titans, yeah, of course I agree with that. That was terrible, right? The New York Giants, I agreed with that last year. The Falcons, not so much anymore. The Cleveland Browns is kind of like a minus move. It's not positive. It's not negative. It's kind of right in the middle. The Raiders, no idea what they were doing with Pete Carroll in the beginning. That shouldn't have happened. Cardinals, we saw that coming a mile away. And then, of course, with Harbaugh, like at the end of the day, I think they said that he got within 45 minutes, he got 7 phone calls to coach.
Yeah.
So I think that was a bad move. That was probably one of the bad moves there. But if I'm a coach, if I'm an elite coach, I'm looking no further than the Tennessee Titans. To me, that's the number one team that you want to be at. So
why?
So number one, I'd have to talk to the ownership and see what it is.
Ken Ward is trash. The defense is horrible. Why would you want that job?
So number one, we were saying that about Caleb Williams after his first year as well.
No, you were saying that about Caleb
terrible
Williams.
First year.
You were saying that about
terrible first year. We have to see again what it is, offensive coach, what it was, the reason behind that. But they've got the number 4 pick. They've got the largest cap space out of all teams in the NFL. It's a position where, since you want to say it so much, that a Bill Callahan could come in and say, "Do you want to, take this role?" If he was going to do that. and say, look, you got the cap space you need. You got the 4th overall pick.
Callahan was given the job. He was fired.
And you got a.
You talking about Belichick?
Belichick, yeah.
You said Callahan.
I'm sorry, Bill
was fired.
I apologize.
He was given it.
No, not Brian Callahan. Yeah, but Bill Belichick is that's a position that maybe you look at because you've got the cap space, the number 4 pick, and you've got this canvas of Ward. So for me, the most interesting position is the Tennessee Titans, and I'm gonna disagree with you with the Ravens, and here's why. At the end of the day, King Henry's on the decline. At the end of the day,
we said that last year and the year before, and he hasn't fallen off.
Yeah, but
you're waiting for it.
No, exactly. It's going to be one of those years. I don't want to be around for it. Period. And then Lamar Jackson enters his 30s. We've already seen what that looks like. We've seen what that looks like with other quarterbacks that are run happy. We've seen that.
Keep waiting for the demise.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is. This may end up being better for the coach than it is for the team. That's the truth there.
The reports I read said that the ownership went to him and wanted him to fire his offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And he said no. So he was being loyal to his staff and said, no, like, all right, we're not going to fire him. You're not going to make any changes. And we're going to make a change.
Right.
It was a mistake by the Ravens. It's the same type of mistake that the Tennessee Titans did with Vrabel. Like, what the heck? Why would you fire this guy? What were you guys before? You haven't been anything since Steve McNair.
Well, it's because Vrabel, to answer your question, Jonny and Cris, Vrabel did exactly what he's doing with the Patriots now. He was very good in the first couple of years, and then he had
How long was he the coach for Tennessee?
And then about 5 years?
No, he wasn't. It wasn't for 5 years.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. It was 4 years. He was
okay, 1 more year off.
It's not. He led them to the playoffs, something they haven't seen since Steve McNair.
Yeah, and then he
won
4 games last year, got fired.
So at the end of the day, there's teams who make asinine plays, especially organizations who are not used to winning, and all of a sudden just emboldened and being like, we should be winning nonstop. I can understand when you have a talent pool like the Ravens did or like the Falcons did, and you don't achieve the type of success you should have. You mentioned the Carolina Panthers, you mentioned them here, and I'm like, I disagree in terms of why he's been there 2 years. And the thing is that with him, that talent that's there in Carolina isn't very good. He found a way to work with him. Nobody knew Chuba Hubbard. Nobody knew Nico, didn't know these players. Bryce Young came in with a horrible first year, horrendous. Nobody expected much, and he found a way to still make this team into a playoff team somehow. So the Bucs are a better team on paper than Carolina. The Falcons are a better team than Carolina. The Saints, you could argue, are a better team than Carolina on paper, and still Carolina found a way into the playoffs. That's why he still has a job, Chris. You can't take that away from him.
That makes absolutely no sense. All 3 teams finished 8-9, and the only reason why Raheem Morris, no, you didn't. The only reason why Raheem Morris is not in the playoffs, and if they didn't have the same record, your point would be valid. That was very good.
Doesn't matter.
That was very good conversation. But at the end of the day, they all had the exact same record, and the only reason is because of the way divisional placement works. So it's asinine. It's ridiculous to be like, now if the Panthers were 12-4 and what have you, then okay, I'll give you the.
So it doesn't matter if Carolina's in the playoffs. But if the Bucs were in the playoffs, it would matter.
All 3 are 8. No, all 3 are 8-9. All 3 are 8-9. And Raheem Morris shouldn't have been fired. That's all I'm saying. Now, with that being said, going back to Tennessee, because I'm always about being accurate with Tennessee. He actually didn't have 5 years. I was wrong. He had 6 years, and then he won 7 games, won 6 games, and then was fired. I'm talking about Vrabel. I'm just giving you the future, what's going to happen to the Patriots, just so you're aware. But no, as far as the coaching carousel is concerned, and to put a bow on this with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jonny and Cris, there's 7 vacancies at the moment. So put on your management hat for a second, if you are the owner here, do you look at Harbaugh and go, you know what, maybe we should make a move? Or are you in line with me where we're saying we're going to keep, because so many vacancies are out there, we're going to go ahead and keep Bowles for another season?
You're going to keep Bowles for another season.
What would you do?
If you made your bed, you have to lie in it. Now, I would have never given him an extension after 7 weeks in the season. I would like, why? What is the rush? But they saw it. They already had claimed themselves division champs. They went ahead and said, hey, playoffs, here we come. And then that's what happens. Oh, you counted your chickens before they roost. Congratulations. You missed the playoffs. So for me, this was a make or break year for Bowles. We talked about it. That's how I saw it. You don't make the playoffs, you're gone. So I would have gotten rid of Bowles. But if my GM was so foolish as to go ahead and re-sign him to do these things here before you actually had clinched the division, then I have to make my bed and roll it out for at least another year. Like, come on, you're not going to sign him to a 3-year extension and then say, okay, we're going to give you all that money anyway, you're fired. The only exception to that, there's only one exception.
I was waiting for it.
There's only one, and that's clearly Harbaugh. So if Harbaugh becomes available and he is interested in Tampa, you can't ignore that type of talent. He's Super Bowl winning quarterback. If he says, I am interested in coaching this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, then you take your lumps and you move on from Bulls. Outside of that, you're going to ride it out with him.
So right now, John Gruden gets on the phone and says, I'll come back. You're saying no?
Yeah, I'm not saying no because that is a pipe dream.
Oh, well, that's what I was asking. Put your hat on. If you're listening, one thing about the Glazers is that they think about everything. They overthink about everything. They make those calls.
I get it. But right now, with Gruden being in that lawsuit there, I think eventually he's going to get the opportunity to coach in the NFL.
So you think one more year?
He's still in the mix of it. That's not available right now. That has to be there's going to be a settlement. It's going to be cleared. I think by next year, everything will be settled, and then maybe he'll get the opportunity again. But right now, the opportunity is not really available for. I love John Gruden. Love me some John Gruden. I hope to see him in the NFL again, but I don't think it's going to happen as soon as we would like it. So that's why I said Harbaugh is the guy to where you have to scratch your head and figure it out. I'm as more of anything surprised, Chris, that of everything we read, we went everything else here. Miami Dolphins still have a coach. Miami Dolphins were not one of those teams to go to immediately. I kept waiting. I kept looking at my phone waiting for that. Miami Dolphins fire McDaniels. He's gone and never came.
Well, that's what the inquiry is. When they caught it, you have to read between the lines. But when they said within 45 minutes, that's 7
I already know.
teams called at the time. Well, there's only 7, including the Ravens. So there's somebody there with an active coach that called about him, which is crazy.
I like to think, I know most people are thinking Miami Dolphins. I like to think it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, that's what I'm saying, going back to the Glazers. But look, folks, Florida Man Football, we want to thank you. This episode, I know, a little longer because of the playoff implications at hand and because of the coaching carousel. I don't think that a coaching vacancy, it could happen, gets filled within this to next episode. But for next episode, Johnny Cinco, let's bring a list of actually what coach we want to go into what team. Have a little fun with that.
Yeah, of course. That sounds good to me. I have some names already in my head.
Yep.
It's going to be fun. Hope you guys enjoy Wild Card Weekend. Yep. NFL playoff football. Not to mention real quick before we go, national championship playoffs here is happening in college football. We haven't really got into a lot of college football, but we have Miami, Chris. They're taking on right here this upcoming weekend here. They're taking on Ole Miss. Who you got in this game? Miami Hurricanes, Ole Miss.
They're taking Ole Miss?
Yes.
Ole Miss.
Oh, my God. I hate you.
Ole Miss.
Oh, my. Miami Hurricanes are winning this game, going to the national championship. They're going to face Indiana in the national championship. Miami, Indiana. You heard it here.
If that's the case, Indiana's winning. So
later, guys.